Hi everybody, so this week I read Screwtape Proposes a Toast. There are a seemingly infinite amount of quotations that struck me very deeply. Something came up after Mass today with a friend of mine, and we were discussing the topic of words with very ambiguous meanings. And we were discussing a variety of words, but one that came to mind was democracy, as it came up in the book recently. I'm going to read a bit from that, and there is a lot to be taken away from this. Screwtape is, let's say, an administrator type, and he has a nephew who has been writing letters to him asking for advice. Screwtape himself and his nephew are both demons attempting to pull at people's consciences in order to get them to descend into hell. It sounds very scary, but it's very satirical in its form. Screwtape Proposes a Toast is the same character, Screwtape, giving a speech. He was asked to come to the college for the demons and give a toast. Within this toast, he discusses the word democracy, and I am going to get into it now. You are to use the word purely as an incantation, if you like, purely for its selling power. It is a name they venerate, and of course it is connected with the political ideal that men should be equally treated. You then make a stealthy transition in their minds from this political ideal to a factual belief that all men are equal, especially the man you are working on. As a result, you can use the word democracy to sanction in his thought the most degrading and also the least enjoyable of all human feelings. You can get him to practice not only without shame, but with a positive glow of self-approval, conduct which, if undefended by the magic word, would be universally derided. Presently, he suspects every mere difference of being a claim to superiority. No one must be different from himself in voice, clothes, manners, recreations, choice of food. Here is someone who speaks English rather more clearly and euphoniously than I. It must be a vile upstage la-di-da affectation. Here is a fellow who says he doesn't like hot dogs, thinks himself too good for them, no doubt. Here's a man who hasn't turned on the jukebox. He must be one of those highbrows and is doing it to show off. If they were the right sort of chaps, they'd be like me. They've no business to be different. It's undemocratic. Under the name of envy, it has been known to the humans for thousands of years, but hitherto they always regarded it as the most odious and also the most comical of vices. Those who were aware of the feeling felt it with shame. Those who were not gave it no quarter in others. The delightful novelty of the present situation is that you can sanction it, make it respectable and even laudable by the incantatory use of the word democratic. Then C.S. Lewis goes on to describe the discussion between two tyrants. And the conclusion between the two is the best way to rule is to make sure that none of the stalks grow above the others. Now democracy can do the same work, meaning cutting down the tops of the stalks, without any other tyranny than her own. No one need now go through the field with a cane. The little stalks will now, of themselves, bite the tops off the big ones. The big ones are beginning to bite off their own in their desire to be like stalks. If you are great at something, if you are skilled, if you are talented, if you are intelligent, if you're joyful, if you're confident, if you're giving, and you have this fervent desire to share things, that is a gift, and a gift only. So I wanted to share that little bit today. It is not our job to be like the rest of the stalks. It's our job to find our skill and to use it and to grow in it. The next quote from Screwtape Proposes a Toast that I really want to share today from his speech to the college is quite terrifying. I think, and I also think it's extremely important as a reminder. Screwtape is currently describing the meal for the college students. Now, to these small demons, what brings them the most joy is sin and turmoil and destruction. He goes on to talk about the ultimate sinner, which is the Pharisee. Look at those fiery streaks that writhe and tangle in its dark heart, as if they were contending. Types that were most antagonistic to one another on earth. Some were all rules and relics and rosaries. Others were all drab clothes, long faces, and petty traditional abstinences from wine or cards or the theater. Both had in common their self-righteousness, the almost infinite distance between their actual outlook and anything the enemy really is or commands. The wickedness of other religions was the really live doctrine in the religion of each. Slander was its gospel, and denigration its litany. How they hated each other up there where the sun shone. How much more they hate each other now that they are forever conjoined, but not reconciled. All said and done, my friends, it will be an ill day for us if what most humans mean by religion ever vanishes from the earth. It can still send us the truly delicious sins. The fine flower of unholiness can grow only in the close neighborhood of the holy. Nowhere do we tempt so successfully as on the very steps of the altar. Man. If I've learned anything in my Catholic faith and in my journey, God is charity, He is mercy, He is love. It is our job to follow in Jesus' footsteps, not to play God in our judgment of others. We're called to be truthful, but anyone who knows anything knows about the log in the eye. This is what I wanted to share with you today. I've really loved diving into this text. C.S. Lewis, I'm a novice with all of these things, but I've been really diving into C.S. Lewis and some of the classics for my own enjoyment and for learning and for bettering myself. I'm really looking forward to homeschooling my kids, and because of this, I thought it was time to dive into my intellectual life a little bit more deeply. My faith first and foremost, obviously. So sharing that has made it much easier for me to stay on track. And I look forward to continuing to do so in the coming weeks. And actually this whole year. That's one of my resolutions. So every week I'll be sharing a little bit of what I've been reading. This is a little bit of curiosity from Curiosity and Candor, and I hope you enjoyed it. Have a good Sunday.